let's say last 2 years, a lot of things has changed in adoption of online payment. The people who are above 50, 60, who are always familiar with traditional checks, demand draft, money order. Last 2 years, COVID happened. Going to a bank, going to a post office was difficult. People moved to the online payment mechanisms, Google Pay, Phone Pay, Paytm. How that behavior has changed? You can do a qualitative research. What kind of forced them to make those changes, behavioral changes, or you can do a quantitative. How frequently they use those methods, payment mechanisms, how much transaction they make in a month or a week. So either way, whether qualitative, quantitative, or mixed, both of them, you can complete or create a very good project out of it. Same thing, let's say investment. Right now, last few years, lot of youth in your age group, once you join a company, they have started putting a lot of their money in different investment options, whether share market, gold, real estate. So what are the behavioral, what are the attitudes towards investment, right? That you can study. But the point is, take a topic which is recent, which has relevancy in current scenario. Don't take like your seniors has done or 5 years back somebody done and put it in a Google and you are just download and submit that. That will not help in you for your final placement. Because if once you explain your project, why did you choose that project? That will be your that question. So you should have some justification taking that topic, explaining that topic, why that is important to you or why that was important for the company you are working for. So that's why we keep a choice of two specializations, right? Let's say you were interested in HR. It might be possible that you might not get an internship in HR, but try to get an internship in next specialization. If the next specialization is sales or marketing or HR or operations, try to at least, so whenever you are applying for your summer internships, whichever two areas you are looking into, try to get into at least one of them. Try for those companies where either whichever is your top criteria, top specialization area, get there or the next one, so that at least you can do a justice to the your interest area also, right? You are not at all interested in sales and marketing, you got into sales and marketing, then you do a project in sales and marketing and you come back and ask for that, okay, I want a HR role only, right? That will be difficult. But I'm not telling that you can do not do a sales and marketing offer. So in sales and marketing also you can do a HR specific project. So you can do the how like kind of motivation, what are the behavioral salespeople, right? So among the salespeople for FMCG company or whichever company you are working for, you can understand their behavior, their attitudes, their commitment towards a company, what kind of training needs, what kind of challenges they face. So the point is, you will have lot of opportunities. Talk to your faculty mentor. You will have corporate mentors assigned to you from the Confident program. Be in regular touch with them. Some of them might be from the industry which you are or sector you are interested in. But please be put a focused approach for those 2 or 3 months whenever you are completing your internship. And that if you are able to put a good work, your placement is almost guaranteed unless you have certain backlogs or kind of problem in your 10th or 12th mark. So lot of things, lot of people, lot of students are able to get a good placement because they put little bit of effort in summer internship. Tell me about yourself, your summer internship experience. These two questions, if you are able to answer properly, no matter what else you answer, right? 90% of the times you're through the interview. And those who fail most of the times due to this problem. Because tell me about yourself. I hope all of you are able to answer that properly. But summer internship, if you do not do just or done copy and paste, you will face lot of issues. Similarly, marketing product might fail due to a lot of reasons: pricing issue, product quality issue, channel distribution issue, promotion issue, right? You can carry or you can create a research project out of that. Customer satisfaction, there are a lot of tools. Net promoter score is a 1 or 2 questions. There is a questionnaire for CSAT, customer satisfaction. There are a lot of tools which you can use to gather like whether a customer is satisfied with the services. Let's say it is an insurance company or any kind of service company. You can carry out those kind of studies. Operations, some of you who are interested in supply chain or operations, Not necessarily you have to work in a production environment. Let's say Reliance Retail Big Bazaar, right? 2 years back or few years back when COVID did not happen, one of the biggest challenges how to manage the queue, right? Because if a customer comes to your store and waiting 15 or 20 minutes in the queue, in the waiting line, he will get or she will get frustrated, right? Without, obviously the easiest answer is put one more counter, put two more counters, but without additional investment, can some operational strategy or optimization can be done without investing more within the same three counters or four counters, so that the customer waiting time can be reduced. How to make that sequence, how to make that queue, or overall in a supply chain, let's say it is FMCG company, right now the total logistics cost is, let's say, 5% or 10% of the overall product cost. How to reduce that? If you're able to reduce 1% also, or at least give a plan to reduce 1%, that will be huge, big success for your project, right? Last year few of my like kind of mentees worked in ITC, and they did excellent project on warehouse management, how to automate the process. So the point is lot of opportunities, not only BRM. Again, I'm not telling this is the only course which will help you. If some of you are really interested in finance, got into equity research, you don't need BRM, but at least you should have a understanding of how to carry out fundamental analysis, how to carry out ratio analysis, how to carry out technical analysis. So choose any 10 kind of companies from that sector. Let's say electric vehicles is a emerging market. Do a proper fundamental analysis, technical analysis for few days, come up with your suggestion rather than downloading it from money control or somewhere and putting that in your report. Because see, getting mark online exams, you are anyhow getting marks, right? So if you get some additional mark, that is not going to help in your final placement. They also know that how you get those 8 point, 9 point. Nobody bothers, nobody looks into those numbers. As long as you are above 6, they are okay. Above 6 in online format, whether you have 6 or 9 or 10, it doesn't matter. Offline, yes. Online, everybody knows what you do in those exams, right? So you will be pulling yourself if you think that copying a project and appearing for final placement, you will go through it. Some of you might be 1% will be lucky enough, but others, if you do that, you will fail. Human resources, right? So rather than going by the like just going and reaching out to person, look into what is the interest area, what are the things which has changed in last 2 years. Lot of companies right now are offering remote work opportunities, flexible work opportunities, flexible hours. Try to create a project according to that, because that will be helpful when you are talking that in your interview, talking that in your final placement. The recruiter will be interested because that is a topic which will be like relevant for next 4 to 5 years, right? Because almost all the companies are going to implement one or few rules regarding remote work. So a lot of things you can like try to build network in LinkedIn, try to like approach your corporate mentor before you select a project, talk to your faculty mentor and kind of work on that, right? So my next few classes, whenever we discuss any technique, right, idea will be to relate it to any one or two project and take it through, right? How will you use that for your project, right? Not only to go through only the techniques, right? Anyhow that you have covered in QT1, QT2. So that about your how that subject is going to help you for your project. Like I said, this is not the only subject. If I've gone through, let's say, strategy management, you must have gone through industry analysis, Porter's 5 process, Answer's matrix, competitor benchmarking. Use that. Without using BRM, if you just go and use those 4 or 5 frameworks for any sector, have a very good understanding of that sector, right? That itself. But the idea is out of that project, some insights should come, right? It is not just a theoretical project. You are not presenting something in the class. That should help the company. Let's say if you are working for a startup, they are not sure where they should launch their product, which market, what kind of product they should create, right? Carry out a market analysis, market sizing. Use some of the frameworks which you have learned in your strategy management class, right? And help them like, okay, this is the business plan, this is the marketing plan. Whatever you cover in marketing management 1 and 2, try to use that. So not necessarily all the project need to be research based project. Whatever work you are doing day to day, Let's say some of you just get into sales. There is a sales quota, right? But learn the process of sales, right? How the cold calling happens, whether cold calling can be automated, what is the screening criteria. So go through that AIDA funnel, right? How you like kind of able to shortlist candidates, how to reach out to customers. There are a lot of frameworks for that. You are working for your day-to-day work is to cold call, get some customers, convince them. That is your day-to-day work. But that same work can be converted to a project, saying that okay, this is the current process of reaching out to customers, leads, prospects, and they are moving through those sales funnel. Can you automate some of the process? There are a lot of marketing automation tools, sales automation tools. So read about the CRM techniques, marketing automation tools. Can that be implemented in that company? Make some suggestions. So now what will happen when you come back to campus and in your final placement, you will have idea about a lot of CRM marketing automation tools. So that person who is interviewing you, he said that yes, day-to-day activity, that person was doing this sales activity, but apart from that, he or she did this kind of work. He will or she will be impressed with your kind of commitment. Right? So, and that is where you can work all these negativities. If you say, okay, I was not interested in sales, they are asking me to do cold calling. Yes, 2 months. That is not whole of your life. But how to use that kind of work or how to use that task for your advantage, right? So again, repeating, put little bit effort. Don't let the 2 months go waste. Otherwise, you are only going to suffer. Chalo, that's all for SIP purpose. Any questions or in doubt before we move to today's session? Yes, Tathagat.
Yes, sir. So I have a few questions. Like if you are pursuing like a internship and doing an internship in a sales and marketing company, and they are new to our like new to India, but they are globally well established. So we are like doing the stuff like marketing and people to know their name, that this company has really a good impact in other European countries or other countries. So how can we build like if we're pursuing a SIP in like marketing and sales? So how can we build a strong SIP that will help in our final placement?
So think about, there are a lot of ways to do it. The one is whether like kind of it is a product based company, service based company. If it is a product based company, who are their competitors, right? And what those competitors are doing, right? So one project can be on the competitor benchmarking, what their competitors are doing, if it is a product or service based company. If they are already in the market but their sales are not growing or the brand is not flourishing, right? How to like create brand awareness of that company, right? Right now, let's say if you go and do a brand audit, asking people about whether they know about company's product. Currently, let's say once you start your project, let's say the brand awareness is only 5% or 3%. Your aim of the project should be to increase it to 10% or 15% within the 2 months. Now if you take that as a project, right, what are the activities, what are the tasks, what are the things you have to do to increase brand awareness? So there are multiple ways. One is obviously the regular sales promotions through the channel partners. Second is the digital marketing, which might be interesting to the company, right? So digital marketing means, again, digital marketing, there are a lot of ways: search engine optimization or content marketing, social media marketing, right? So these are the ways. If company is able to sponsor you for that, right, 2 or 3 of you can work on that and show the result. Okay, right now I do a survey, go to the market, look for the, like, let's say if it is a product company, ask for the customers, potential customers, are they aware about this company, and look into that number. Let's say out of 100 people you ask randomly, only 10 of them know that company, this product. So brand awareness is close to 10%. After you complete all these tasks, what is the brand awareness? Now you can show the result also. So your project can be a project well executed, not a theoretical concept only based on insight. Yours will be a project where you can executing certain task activities which is beneficial to the company and showing result toward the end of the, randomly after your 2 months of digital marketing, content marketing, you go to the market and ask how many people currently know about your product, right? So that can be done. Competitor benchmarking, kind of POTUS 5 process industry analysis, answers matrix you can use, that you can do. The other thing can be, like I said, market sizing itself can be a project for the product or services they are into. What is the total market size? Who are their potential target markets? Customer segmentation can be one project, right? So that is something like, the point is, it is not that okay, I am interested in that. That also should be interesting to the company. So take these 3 or 4 ideas whenever you are like going to for that internship. Talk to your manager whom you are reporting to. Ask, request them to choose one of them which should you should pursue, and then have a coordination with your mentor.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yes, PLE.
Good morning, sir. Good morning, sir. So I have a doubt, like as we can make both qualitative and quantitative projects, will quantitative project have more impact as it is backed up by data than qualitative project?
Not true. To be honest, qualitative has a lot of advantages over quantitative. But generally, what happens, because the quantitative has to do a lot with numbers. People have that
Yes, sir.
assumption that you are putting certain numbers. I did 100 people survey, so it is little bit easy to put in kind of CV. Qualitative,
Yes.
as a researcher, if I talk about academics, right? Qualitative has much more impact. Think about, because in qualitative, you will understand why somebody is doing that. Let's say this online payment mechanism, right? If I am able to find out why suddenly people move to, when last 10 years, lot of investment happened through Paytm, PhonePe, all those things, lot of people were apprehensive about online payment mechanisms. 2 years, suddenly some outside thing, COVID happened, everybody moved. Not everybody, at least maximum of the elderly people have moved to online payment mechanisms. So if you are able to try to understand why part of it, right? It has
Yes, sir.
lot of advantage for the company, but little bit difficult happens when you are putting that in your CV, right? So that's why a lot of people do this quantitative part, because it is easy. Like you can always say that okay, I carried out a frequency analysis, or I carried out a regression to find out the prediction of online payments, right? It becomes little easy to
Yes, sir.
put on your CV. But impact wise, if you say, my belief is qualitative has lot of impact for the company or for the research.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yes, Nisita, then Abhijit.
Sir, project that will be submitting to you should be different from Bhuvandeep sir's project, right?
Yes. So I'm not sure what project he has given, but yes. So I'll be giving a different project.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yes, Abhijit.
Sir, regarding the project, we need to choose the topic ourselves, and
No, I'll assign topic.
sir, what exactly we need to do? Whether we need to do qualitative or quantitative?
For my part, post-made, it has to be quantitative one. Pre-made part, I assume Bhuvan sir might give a qualitative one.
Sir, actually, Bhuvandeep sir asked us to make groups, but he didn't assign any projects so far.
Yeah, I think he will give that pre-made. I'll check with him. But my part, the 10 marks will be related to the quantitative, because I'll be covering the quantitative research only. So my requirement from the project will be on the quantitative part.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir,
Yes.
so the project groups will be same as Bhuvandeep sir group, or shall be different?
Ideally, keep the same group, right? Why to change that?
Okay, sir.
Okay. So quickly, let us go through the scaling and okay. So this part is on the research methods. Qualitative has been covered. I'll be covering quantitative. So what do you mean by the mixed method? So most of the academic research, right, they prefer that you have included both qualitative and quantitative. But unfortunately, what will happen, it will take a long time, right? Because you are doing both research. You go and carry out focus group discussions, interviews, one-to-one discussions, get some idea about that sector. Let's say electric vehicles, right? Adoption of electric vehicles for age group 18 to 30-year-old. So I can go and complete those focus group discussions, or let's say interviews with 15 or 30 potential customers, understand their assumptions, concerns uh, about the electric vehicles, four-wheelers or two-wheelers. Then come back and create questions, go and collect quantitative data, right? But the problem is because you will have 8 weeks or 2 months of time, carrying out a proper mixed methodology work will be little difficult. I'll not say impossible, little bit difficult because the time frame will be very short. So my suggestion will be either choose in case you are using BRM research project, right? Unless if it is not a research project, let's say you get into equity research, you need not have to get into this research methodology. You just can do some fundamental or technical analysis, or it can be like supply chain optimization or process. So in that case also you not necessarily need survey, you not necessarily need questionnaire, but other topics what we discussed, right? If you are using research methodology, either go for qualitative or quantitative, right? Mixed method, though it is much more preferred, but getting time for that, completing both will be little difficult, right? So our focus from the next class onwards to understand quantitative techniques and how it can be utilized for your summer internship or going forward also. In some of you are interested in marketing research. So revision of concepts, scaling. So this part already has been covered. Can anybody give a few examples of each of them? Nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. Yes, Abhijit.
Sir, nominal means that mostly the text values or the categorical values which do
Okay.
not have any order, like gender, male and
Okay.
female is nominal. Ordinal scale is also categorical, but it has a certain order, like high, medium, and low, where high is greater than medium and medium is greater than low. Interval scale has order and the distance is fixed as well, and it can include negative values as well, like speed in velocity. The distance between 1 kilometer per second and 2 kilometer per second, that is fixed. It does not fluctuate. So that can be an example of interval. And for ratio scale, it should have an origin along with distance and order. So here also the distance between two consecutive values remains the same, like example time or speed, absolute speed, not the velocity, or temperature in Kelvin, which does not go beyond below zero. So that can be ratio scale.
Okay. Any other answer? Anyone else wants to make a try? If I say your roll numbers, all of your roll numbers, you have been assigned a number, what scale will that be? If I say that, please mention your roll number.
Nominal, sir.
So ratio,
Nominal.
The nominal.
So why not
Nominal, sir.
ordinal? Why not interval? Why not ratio?
so ratio
Okay.
scale.
Okay,
Because
Abhijit.
nominal, it is used for identification, so
We
can
can't do any other
assigning.
like processing other than just
Sir,
using
like
it
it
for
can be of
identification.
counting or frequencies.
Only
Okay.
for we can count the number of like how many numbers are there.
Okay, so though it is a number, your roll number do not have a ordering property. I cannot say that roll number 2020 whatever the last 4 digit is a better student or whatever. There is no criteria of roll number. In our case, might be the name starting alphabet of your name or whatever the criteria, right? Without knowing that, I cannot put them into order. Though it is a regular from 1 to 356, but on what basis that has been made, I am not clear, right? Only for our attendance purpose or section purpose we have done that. So roll number, though it is a digit, so always start with your nominal. So all those questions whatever you form will have nominal property. So how to, like, if somebody asks you what kind of scale is that, always start with nominal. So all the scales will have nominal property, then you jump into ordinal. By using roll number, can I order them? No, if you do not have any other information, you cannot order them, right? Which, if I just give you a random roll number, which section he or she belongs to, it will be difficult, right? So ordering won't be possible. Think about IMDb ratings, right? Almost all of you watch movies or TV shows, and before watching a new movie, you might be going and reading about the ratings, right? If I talk about movie ratings, whichever recent movie you watched, what kind of scale will that be?
Nominal.
Okay.
Nominal.
Ordinal.
Ordinal, sir.
Ordinal.
Why not interval? Why not interval or ratio?
So because there is not any fixed scale through which we can rate it. Like if someone like it, then he can also give 4, or he can also give like 4.23. There is no fixed such scale. So
Sir, in interval, there should be some common aspect, like something should be in common.
Common in the sense, anyhow, that has been given in IMDb, right? If you do not like that movie, you rate whatever 1 to 10. 1 is the worst movie of your life, 10 is the best movie of your life.
Scale standardized नहीं होते. The scales are not standardized for everyone.
But everyone
Scales are
means they are
different for
asking you, right? So
Yes, but the scales are different for everyone. Like
so you are talking about whether it is interval or ratio scale. What is your answer? What do you think that that scale is IMDb ratings, whether it is a interval scale, ordinal scale, or ratio scale, or nominal scale?
sir, I think it's an ordinal scale, sir, not
Okay.
interval.
So you are telling it is not interval because it is not a standardized. So what do you mean by standardized scale?
So like I'm just taking two options, like satisfied and dissatisfied.
No, no,
So
take
for
about that
you,
scale. We'll come back to that satisfied, unsatisfied. This is 0 to 10 scale or 1 to 10 scale for your IMDb ratings. 1
so
is your
yes, sir,
worst.
we
So
are
that
forcefully giving options 0 to 10. Somebody
correct,
could have given 1,000 as well. So we
correct,
are
correct.
forcefully making this ordinal.
So your answer is ordinal.
Yes.
Okay. What other answers? Yes, PLE.
Yes, so it is ordinal. And about standardization, what Arijit was saying, we are putting different numbers or different variables in the same scale. Like in the scale of 0 to 10, we are giving different rankings to different movies. That's why it cannot be an interval or a ratio scale. It has to be an ordinal.
So when it's a
Because we
different
are,
movies, for each movie you cannot create a new scale, right? It won't. It will be like
yes,
humanly
sir.
impossible, right?
Yes, sir.
That won't be
Yes, sir.
possible
It
anytime.
is. Yes, sir. It is ordinal because we are assigning a position like ranking. This movie ranks this much, like that.
So what about your CGPA? Right now, if I ask you all of your CGPA, what scale will that be? And how it is different from your
Interval,
movie?
sir. Ordinal as well as interval.
Sir, CGPA is interval. Sir, CGPA is
So it is
interval.
it is a interval. Everyone has different CGPA. There
The
cannot be a
CGP is
mismatch.
ratio scale, I think.
No, it can be. It can be like you can have same CGPA, right? In a class, I can choose randomly 5 students. They can have same CGPA, 8, 8, 8.1, whatever it is, right?
Yes, a CGP is also interval because we are forcefully grading like 0 to 10 points.
It has nothing to
per
do with
subject.
forcefully, right?
So that,
So what?
sir,
Yeah.
Sir,
Yeah,
in
so
continue.
interval,
IMDb
I
rating
think
can also be
scale-
interval as we are rating from scale 0 to 10, just like CGPA.
Okay. Okay. So most of you like answered good, that you have at least good above average understanding of that. But remember, like, and we'll try to like explain where the confusion is coming. Nominal is simple. Like nominal, I think all of you understand. It is only for the identification. It has nothing to do with number, all those things. If I use that property, attribute property to identify something, like I said, your roll number, right? Let us try to understand through that IMDb ratings, right? What scale is it? Whenever any questions, whether in exam or you create a question, right? Ask yourself whether it is nominal. 99% of the times it will have nominal property. If you have written proper English, right? You have given options or not, it will have nominal property. Because think about this, IMDb ratings, each movie, there is a rating. I can, so that becomes identification. This movie has a IMDb rating of 6.8, 6.2, 5.6, whatever it is, right? Overall rating in the IMDb scale. You might use a, let's say, Rotten Tomato, you can give 80%, 87%, that is a different scale. But in that scale of IMDb ratings, that has a identification property for that movie. And it might change also after 2 years. It might get like some of the movies have a kind of, Partha, keep yourself on mute.
Yes, sir.
So that becomes like for that specific rating scale, that movie has got a rating, and it might get changed overly, like if other people start rating that movie. So nominal property, that IMDb ratings has nominal property. Now I'll move to ordinal. Does that scale has ordinal property? So if some movie is 6.8, some other movie is 8.6, and when I'm telling 0 to 10, 0 is lowest rating, 10 is the best rating, highest rating, right? So that means those movies who have got 8 above, 8, 8.5, 9, so they are rated better with those whatever 10,000, 10,000, 20,000 participants who have rated those movies, right? So I can put them into order, right? So I can say that, okay, these are the top 50 movies who have a rating of more than 9.5 or 9. These are the movies who are between 9 to 8 or 8 to 9, right? So ordinal. So using that scale, IMDb ratings, so that has a ordinal property also. So always go from the nominal side, then move upward. Whether that scale has a ordinal property, yes. Now the next question where the debate was happening, whether it has an interval property. Interval means not range. Interval means if two participants rate in the same scale, can I measure the difference? Always remember the point being same scale. If I rate that movie in Rotten Tomatoes, you rate movie in IMDb, comparison will not be possible. But in the same scale, when I say I like the movie 3 and you say it is 4 or you say 5, so what I have to mention, though it is ordinal property, also I can say that the person who rated that movie 5 has a 2 point. He likes that movie by 2 more points in a scale of 0 to 10. So what someone of you told is correct. So it is very scale dependent, but using that scale dependent, when I mention that in a IMDb rating, somebody has rated that movie 8, somebody has rated that movie 5. So those people who have rated movie 8 like that movie 3 points better in a scale of 0 to 10. So I have to mention that scale, what I am using. Otherwise, it doesn't have a meaning. Same scale, if I change from 0 to 100, the points will differ. So whenever you are using that interval property, you have to mention on what scale, right? So now the question is, yes, now it has, I can use the interval property. I can measure the difference between two participants or group of participants. I'll show you a movie. Right now there are 67, 66 students. There are male students and female students. So I'll ask all of you to rate. Then I can compare how male students rated that movie, how female student rated that movie. Then I can take the difference, right? In a IMDb rating scale, I have to mention that I can use that interval property. Interval property means, can I measure the difference? Now the question is, what do you mean by ratio scale? Some of you said it clearly. Whenever that scale is universally accepted, that means it is not that there is a written agreement somewhere that, okay, we have written this agreement that we will use that scale, but that is a common sense and universally everybody, whenever I say that, let's say, what is your age? Everybody knows minimum has to be 0, right? Half-year old, 3 months old, 1 year, 5, 10, 75-year-old. So starting point, tomorrow I cannot start a scale. Okay, let's start. What is your age in a scale of -22 plus 80, right? So nobody, like, that is not true. That is not possible, right? I cannot create a scale for age with a different origin. Same thing with your weight. Same thing with your income. So there are very few interval scales which have a universally accepted origin, right? Everybody understand that. That is a common sense that it cannot go, or the origin you cannot change. Whether you take leave, I can tomorrow, I can unit of measurement I can change. Your age, rather than in years, I can ask that in months you tell, right? But starting point still will be 0, right? You cannot say that negative months. Yes, yes, Abhijit.
Sir, I had a lot of confusion regarding all these 4 things.
Yeah.
So I asked Bhuvandeep sir regarding this. So I asked him regarding satisfaction after watching a movie or doing a particular activity. So he explained that when we are coding it in like in IMDb rating, we are mapping numbers from 0 to 10. So sir, if you are giving 4 and I am also giving 4, it could be that you are 80% satisfied with the movie and I am 85% satisfied with the movie. So sir, the distance is not same now, because for you 80% is 4 and for me 85% is 4. Then the distance doesn't remain same. So how does this can become interval then?
Very true. Like the point is, it like that's why I was mentioning, right? So when exactly the point, when I say that this is 4, for me what is 4 is different, might be for you also, right? But that's why our answers is scale dependent. Nobody forced you to put 4. You have given 4. You might have a different understanding, right? You might think it as a 5, but you have given 4. I might think it as a 3, but still given 4. But all of us have agreed. So that is where your qualitative thing comes into picture. So when I say 4, why did you rate it 4? You might say that, okay, I like the cast, I like the actors, but screenplay was bad. Somebody else might say that screenplay was good, but videography or the songs were bad, right? So that is where qualitative will give a deep dive. So what Bhuvan sir told is not wrong. So your 4 might be different than my 4, but I'm not interested in that. If I'm doing a qualitative, then I'll ask that you said 4, why did you give 4? You will give the reasons, then I'll analyze. So I'll take 15 interviews and I'll analyze. So those people who have rated 4, what are the different ways or what are the reasons for giving 4 rating to that movie, right? But in the context when I'm doing quantitative, when I say that you have 4, for me as a researcher, if I'm mentioning that 0 to 10, how do you like that movie? For me, it will be same. I'm not interested whether you like 70%, 80%, 60%. For that to happen, that's why people use mixed methods after doing this quantitative one. If I want to explore it further, because why there are 10% of people who have rated very negative comment, right? And I'll go and ask, why did you give 4? Then you will say that those some of the reasons. I'll ask some other person who have rated 4, right? So that is where your qualitative research will help me. But still I can use that. I can measure the distance. Okay, these people have rated 4, some people have rated 8. In that scale, there is a point of 4 difference. And that 4 point is not universal because I change the scale from 0 to 100. 4 point won't have any meaning there, right? That will be a different scale. But in that scale, what I'm using, I can still measure the distance. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Was there any other question? So almost all the rating scales, right, have ordinal property for sure. There is no doubt about it. I can group them. Now the question is, can I use them for interval? So for your project, for your research methodology, there is a lot of debate, which like some people say it can be used, some people say it cannot be used. But your project purpose, you can use still as a interval property as long as you are mentioning that which scale you are using, because it is not a universal concept. Rating is not a universal concept. Think about your CGPA and think about your CAT score. CAT score, if I talk about CGPA cannot be negative, but CAT score is negative. Some IITs, IIMs have a 0 to 4, 0 to 8. So all of them are using different scales. So when I'm comparing, so if I say that the person who is getting 9 here is better than a person who is getting 3 there, might not be true, right? Because we are using different scales. But in the same scale, if 0 to 10 is being used, or let's say percentage for government institutes, they are using percentage, right? I can still compare. I can say that, okay, on this basis, on that, obviously not on the knowledge side, I can say that on the exam performance side, this person has scored 2 grade point or 1 grade point more than the other person. So it is again scale dependent, but I can measure the difference. For your CGPA, same thing is happening, right? It is only applicable for the student who have gone through this course. I cannot go and compare that your CGPA with somebody from other colleges where 0 to 4 or 0 to 8 or percentage based marks being given. Comparison cannot happen, distance measure cannot happen. But in our college, if you have gone through all these same subjects, same coursework, then still I can compare. I can say that, okay, this person in this school of management scored 8.1, somebody is scoring 7.8. The point difference is 0.3. That will not remain valid if I compare your mark with, let's say, XIMB or somebody else, some other college, where they are using different CGPA. So that is where you remember, when you are using it as interval property, make sure that you are mentioning that on which scale and whether that scale is uniform for all the participants. So same thing what I was telling. IMDb rating I cannot compare with Rotten Tomatoes or some other movie rating, right? And obviously I can change my scale also, right? Nobody will tomorrow, if I create a scale, rate the movie from -5 to +5. I'm changing the origin. Starting point should not be 0. Nobody will question that, okay, how can you rate a movie from -5? I can say that if you do not like the movie, rate it -5. But only there are few variables, few attributes which I cannot put negative age not cannot be negative, weight cannot be negative, income cannot be negative, right? And that is common sense, that is universally everybody knows. So those interval scales which have a universally accepted starting point, that becomes the ratio scales. Clear? And it is not about the variables, how you write your question, right? And we'll see that in the next slide.
I have a question, sir.
Yeah, go on.
Sir, you said that after quantitative analysis, if you go deeper, then we have to go for qualitative analysis. Is it compulsory? Because can't we just analyze on the basis of quantitative analysis, like for
Yes.
IMD?
Correct. So that depends upon how much time you have and how much detailed research you want. So that's why I told mixed method research is preferred in academic. If I want to publish a paper, ideally I should have a answer like Abhijit was asking. The 4 rating, let's say there is a very famous movie, like let's say Shawshank Redemption or whichever Batman movie, has a rating more than 9. But there will be people who have rated 1. So quantitative will tell me how many people, frequency analysis, ANOVA, regression, all those things I can do. But now if I want to understand why there are few certain category of people who are rating a excellent or famous movie as 1, and I want to understand the reasons behind it, then qualitative is required. Whether it is mandatory, no. Depending upon what you actually, if I just want to limit myself into quantitative, I'll stop there. Right? I need not have to go for a qualitative. Or I can only do qualitative. I'll not do any quantitative. I'll go and find out those 20 or 100 people who have rated a famous movie with negative comments and create interview or focus group with them. What are the things they did not like about that movie? I don't need a quantitative also. My research project will be only to understand the reasons or factors of putting negative reviews. There will be always trolls, right? And sometimes some celebrities will be there. There will be people always put negative comments, no matter what happens. So you'll write India. Yeah.
Also, won't it reduce the like qualitative research? Won't it reduce our scope of analysis?
No, it actually expands, right? Qualitative is done for the broader or deeper scope of research. Quantitative actually reduces.
At the end of, sir, at the end in qualitative, we won't be able to formulate the degree of how much like if I go in, if I'm
you
going
don't
for
need that, right? But because your objective is to why something is happening, by how much is happening, that is for the quantitative one. And that's what I think who was asking the question, right? So quantitative, it becomes little easier to put in your CV. But qualitative, if you want to publish a paper, qualitative is very much required, because nobody will be interested. Like let's say if somebody has rated 410, to answer Abhijit's question, your assumption of 4 will be completely different from assumption of my 4, right? A lot of discussions happen on public policy, whether people like this government or not. Being neutral, lot of people, if I ask that whether you like this government or not, and people put in neutral will have also different variations. Somebody might be like against or for the government, but they have put neutral, right? And that is something will come from the qualitative. Neutral, when I put the middle 3 option, might not remain same for all the participants. Only thing is that whether you have time to get into that discussion or scope to like interview those persons. If not, you just stop there. You say that, okay, this is the analysis I did. These are the people from the age group from this to this have given this kind of ratings. Males have rated like this, females have rated like this. Those people from metros have rated like this, non-metros have rated like this. This is the difference which is statistically significant, right? That's it. But if I want to understand why somebody has rated 4 or why somebody has rated 9, I have to do a qualitative one, right? So to answer your question, it actually qualitative is very deep and has a broader aspect in comparison to quantitative. But the point is, it becomes little easy to put on paper, and people that's get into the quantitative part. Clear? Yes, Abhijit and PLE.
Sir, so IMDb rating is interval, right? Interval scale.
Any rating you
So
can utilize as a interval scale as long as you're mentioning that scale.
Okay, sir. So my question is suppose we have data or 10 data points which has age of a person's. So age is ratio scale, like you mentioned, because it is universally accepted.
Age is not
cannot
ratio. Age
change.
is how you have asked that question. If you have asked that question, please, okay, we'll discuss that. Okay, go on with your question. Yeah.
So let's assume that it is ratio scale for now, what I understood. But we have a method to find out correlation, which is Spearman's rank correlation, in which we find out the ranks. So, sir, the moment I convert all these ages to ranks, it becomes interval. Is this correct?
Age, why will you rank them? Age, anyhow, you based on the number what they have provided, ranking is done. You need not have to do the ranking. That will be done for your the other part, IMDb ratings. Because if you have taken that as a 0 to 10 ratings, right?
Yes, actually, to find Spearman's correlation coefficient, we need to first find out the ranks. That is what we are taught in QT1.
Yes, but in this
Convert
case,
X
it
and
is
Y column into their ranks.
correct. So in this particular case, you don't have to do that, right? Yeah, because
No, sir,
age
we don't
is in
need
a
to do that.
yeah, age is in a number, a ratio scale. IMDb ratings you can consider as a ratio scale, not ratio scale, interval scale. Interval ratio are basically continuous scales. Nominal, ordinal are categorical scales, right? If you are considering both of them are continuous data, you can just calculate correlation coefficient R. You need not have to go for the Spearman's rank correlation. Spearman's rank correlation comes when somebody is ranking them. Remember the difference between ranking and rating. Rating is you are providing a number out of 0 to 10, how you like that movie. But if I give you 10 movies, how you rank those 5 movies or rank those 3 movies, top 3 movies, then the ranking will come. In the rating, like your CGPA becomes kind of a rating scale because 9, 8.1, I can measure the difference. IMDb ratings, I can measure the difference. But if I say who stood first in the class, who stood second, that becomes the rank. So in that case, I have to like kind of use the ranking, Spearman's ranking scale.
Yes.
Yes, PLE.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was asking, can census be an example of both qualitative and quantitative research? Because in census, people ask questions like how many and all. Like we are collecting a qualitative data and then converting it into a quantitative one. So can it be an example of mixed
Census is
research?
basically quantitative, right? They don't ask that like why question. Qualitative is basically why. Like if census is basically the
sir.
numbers, like how many family members, what is your income background, caste, religion, all those information, right? All these are quantitative ones, right? So they don't ask like get into like why you did not educate your daughters or why did not you send your daughters to school, right? So when that happens, that becomes a qualitative. Why part of it? Why for a poor
sir.
people they don't send their children to private schools or the government schools? Yes, Reyes.
Got it, sir.
So this qualitative and quantitative thing, if we go for quantitative, then we get numbers only, and with numbers you can't have a biasness in general sense. You can't change them. Whatever you get, you present your data that way. But in qualitative, when we're asking open-ended question and doing a group session, wouldn't the biasness affect that so whatever result we get?
No, see, to be honest, the biasness is reduced in a qualitative one, because what happens, you are going and interviewing and focus group. Somebody who once they starts to explain why part of it, they will realize that okay, whatever ratings they gave might not be true. Otherwise, what will happen? Like they just to complete a survey, they will take few seconds. Okay, randomly put 4, 5, 3, 2. Lot of biasnesses comes in a survey. The surveys or the quantitative ones. Just think about it. Earlier, if you have filled those surveys, how much time you spend like putting those answers, right? But if I take an interview, once you start defending why did you give a rating or whatever your answers were, now you'll realize, okay, I might have missed that question or I might have misread that question. I did not spend time. Then that biasness could be questioned, right? And that is where the advantage of qualitative, and it becomes difficult, it becomes time taking. Same survey I can float and within a day I can complete everything. Qualitative one, it will take a lot of time.
Yes, so let's say yes, I understood your point. Let's say Abhijit and I rated a movie. He rated something 4, I rated 5, and you are asking the question of why. Yeah. Then whatever he say won't have a similar meaning to whatever I say. My past
Exactly.
experience, my
Exactly.
so how
And
should
that
I?
is
How will you put it
that is where when focus group discussions are done, they take a similar group of people. The difficulty you face while going to the world, right? Day to day activities for males and females will be different. You might stay out night till 10 p.m., but your sisters, if they go out, they will be asked questions, right? So if I take male and female, your perceptions about the world will be completely different. So when focus groups being done, I take the similar group of people, try to understand their. So to answer your question, let's say, and it is very valid. Somebody, let's say, who was only watched Hindi movies, suddenly somebody started watching English movie. His or her perception about an English movie will be completely different from the person who have been watching English movie from his graduation or school days, right? So whenever you are doing these qualitative ones, take those persons, and when you are comparing the why part of it, take similar group of people. Obviously, it cannot be exactly same person, but let's say if I take and Abhijit, I have to understand your background also. What are your interest area? Which background you are from? Like somebody from the English medium school, somebody from the government schools might have different taste, and comparing that, why part of it will be difficult. So focus group, one of the major criteria of selecting candidates is similar characteristics to the extent possible, right? Not that everything will be similar, to the extent possible. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So let us try to understand through a few questions. Again, these are the things just to give difference of nominal, ordinal, interval ratio. I'll share the slide. Please specify your age in years. What kind of scale is this?
Ratio.
Ratio scale.
If I want to convert into ordinal, how like, so that's why I told it is not about the variable, how I write that question. If I want to change this question to ordinal scale, how will I do that?
Simply maybe age would be.
But
Simply if we
even
ask for age.
But if I
Then
ask
also
that,
it's using
what
a
will be your
age
answers? You'll say that 20, 25, 23, 22. Answers will be same, right? But if I want to change it to ordinal scale, how will I do that? Yes, Reyes, you were telling something?
So he said age only. That also will be universal,
Correct,
right?
correct, correct. So even then also, like people will answer some numbers, right? Then also it will still be ratio scale. Somebody, obviously, I hope nobody will put negative.
So specifying your birthday only, or with month, no year.
Then I'll not know the age, right? If I just know your birth, like kind of day and month, without year, I'll not able to come to you what is exactly your age, right?
So we can put them into groups like young.
Yes.
Old,
So
like
ordinal will happen when you put them into groups. Remember what is the property of ordinal, right? So you are forcing them for options. So please, which age group you belong to? Less than 18, 18 to 25, more than 25. If I give those three options for you, now what will happen? I am forcing you. So either of the group, obviously not less than 8, let's say less than 20, 20 to 30, above 30, or 20 to 25, 20 above 25, right? So in that case, what happens? I am forcing you to choose an option. Only one option you can choose. And once you choose that option, I can order you. So I can know that those people who are above 25, those people between 25 to 20, those people who are less than 20. I can create three groups and I can order them. Above 25 older, then these are the people who are in middle, less than 20 will be youngest age group, right? So that now is ordinal. That cannot be interval because I cannot measure the difference. Those people who are above 25, somebody can be 28, 26, 30, I do not know. I cannot measure the difference. So the point is, it is not about the variable. Though I said that age, weight, income, all those are ratio, it is about how you frame the question, right? Traditionally, if I just ask what is your age, what is your income, in that will be in a ratio scale. But again, I can change that to the ordinal scale. Why I am forcing a stress happening on that only because the next, when we discuss on the data analysis, and a lot of people face that issue in a summer internship program. They collect data, then come back, say, sir, I am not able to do regression. Regression's first criteria is dependent variable has to be in a continuous data, ratio or interval. IMDb ratings. I want to understand how this IMDb ratings, dependent variable is IMDb ratings. what other factors motivate the ratings. Person's age groups, person's locations, person's past viewing behavior, those are the data I have collected. But while collecting rating, what I have done, rather than taking 0 to 10 rating, I have just asked, rate a movie from 0 to 3, 3 to 6, above 6. 0 to 3 means below average, 3 to 6 is average movie, 6 is you like that movie, above average. So normal multiple regression, what you have studied, you might not able to apply that. You have to use something called ordinal regression, which again you have to study later on, right? So the challenge is the way you frame your questions, the way you create your skills, that will be very much required when you are carrying out your data analysis. You want to create ANOVA, you have not asked those grouping questions, you will not able to carry out ANOVA. So that's why I'm telling, the understanding of scaling, how you create your questions, will be later required when you are doing the data analysis, right? So be very careful when you are creating, in case you are using this kind of methodology for your project, be very careful how you are framing your question, because once you have collected data, it will be very difficult to kind of change your data analysis methods, right? So what about, please specify your gender, what scale is this?
One question
Yeah,
on this.
yeah.
So, like you mentioned that how we frame the question will determine the nature out of these 4 types. So, sir, age somebody can ask in months as well, right? Then the universality changes. Then how can age in
Unit of
years be ratio
measurement,
scale?
unit of measurement. So what is a universally accepted starting point? Unit of measurement, yeah. So can you say that negative months? Can I say that somebody say that I earn negative months? No, it has to be minimum 0. I can put days, months, years, but universally accepted starting point. It is not that universally accepted measurement. Weight can be kgs, centigrams, tons, quintals. Unit of measurement can be different, but starting point, universally accepted starting point. Because weight cannot be negative. Yeah. Please specify your gender. What scale is this?
Nominal.
Nominal.
Correct, right? Because you start with nominal, say that whether it is ordinal, no, because without any other information, I cannot order them. I can group them, but which groups comes first and which group comes next, I do not know. Next is income. Oh, sorry. Which, please specify which family income group which belong to. What kind of scale is this?
Ordinal.
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 Why not interval? Why not interval?
So because it is put into groups here.
I cannot measure the difference. If somebody says less than 5 lakhs, somebody says more than 10 lakhs, I do not know exactly what is the difference, right? But here I can, if I want to change, I can change it to ratio. Please mention your income, annual income in rupee lakhs. I'm not giving any options. Somebody who is, let's say, 5,20,000, they'll mention that number. So in that case, what happens? It is a ratio scale. But if I am asking those group choices, like I converted age to a ordinal scale, now it is ordinal scale. I can change this scale to a ratio, because income, I know that negative income cannot happen theoretically. So what I'll say, please mention your annual income, family income in rupee lakhs. Somebody who wants 1,20,000 or 15,50,000, they'll mention that number. Then I can use that, right? So how you frame question, that's why it is very much important. What about the last question?
Ordinal, sir.
So all these questions what we have discussed, rating scale, IMDb ratings, any ratings, is theoretical basis. Yes, theoretically it is ordinal, but I can utilize it as an interval property as long as I'm mentioning what scale I'm utilizing. Like I said for IMDb ratings, here what will happen? Ordinal, no doubt. Somebody who has strongly agree, somebody who is neutral about comment, somebody who is strongly disagree with comment. So there are groups, I can order them. Now, can I use this property for my analysis as an interval scale? I have to mention that in a Likert scale of 1 to 5, the person who rated the government activities as 5, he is agreeing to government actions by 2 points than the other person who has rated 3. So these definition, these insight only will be valid in a scale of 1 to 5. If I change the scale from 1 to 10, that definition won't remain valid. So this interval property I can utilize with the minimum extent as long as I'm mentioning the scale, right? So theoretical purpose, yes, ordinal, no doubt. but I can still use its interval property. Yes, Asia.
Can you explain how it can be interval?
Correct. So interval means what? I can measure the difference between two participants, right? So let's say this question I rated 4 and you rated 3, right? So what will I mention? The difference between, or let's say male. So this question I give it to this, how many? 63 students, right? There are male student and female student. Whatever answers I get from male student and whatever answers I get from female student, and I want to compare. I want to carry out a t-test, and my hypothesis is there is a difference of opinion for whatever government activities between male student and female student, right? So what I'll do, I'll take average and I'll tell you how to carry out those t-test and all those things later on. But the philosophy is I can measure the difference in this scale. I can say that, okay, those people, let's say on an average, it came as 4.2. If I take an average and somebody average came as 3.2 for two groups, I can measure the difference under this scale. I can say that in a scale of 1 to 5, when students were asked to provide their opinion about the COVID kind of activities, COVID related activity of the government, let's say male, again, this is example, it might not be true. Male student rated 3.8, female student rated 3.5. So on an average, there was a 0.3 difference in a scale of 1 to 5. So that is where I can measure the difference. So which is my property of the interval scale.
But sir, in interval scale, we lose out the validity or truthfulness. For that, we need to conduct qualitative analysis, right?
Yeah. So now somebody says 3, right? So 3 means neutral, they don't care. So let's say maximum of the people, let's say out of 63, 40 of them said neutral. So my actually survey is not valid because maximum of them are student told neutral. Then I have to actually do a qualitative to understand why everybody is thinking neutral. Because for me, what is neutral? For you, it will be different. So I will find out in your age group, in your background, those 5 or 10 people, those people who have said neutral, why did you told neutral, right? And try to explain that little bit better, right? Yes. So quantitative, whenever you are doing a quantitative thing, it has a lot of generalization, right? But that is some flexibility we are losing because qualitative ones will take a lot of time. But whenever we need that answer of why is important, we have to do qualitative one. Asya, did I answer your question properly? Why I am taking it as interval?
Yes, I understood.
Yeah. But so that's why I tell it is very scale dependent. So this 0.3 difference is only valid with the scale what I've taken 1 to 5. That is not will remain not valid if I scale a rating of 1 to 100 or 1 to 10 or -5 to +5. So that's why if I'm using it as interval property, I have to mention that this is only valid for this question where I have taken a Likert scale of 1 to 5, right? But still I can use it interval property. Okay, so the point is, again, we'll keep discussing this when and urgent when we move on with the quantitative techniques. But remember and understand the importance of these questions, because mistake here in framing a question, framing a scale, right, will put a lot of pressure when you are carrying out data analysis. Yes, PLE.
Yes, sir. So will this mean that we cannot calculate the mean in ordinal data because it will not give the proper estimation, as it is not having the differences between the adjacent scores, like whatever we are giving the scores. Is it so, sir? Will mean be not a proper measure in ordinal?
Can you repeat the question? In ordinal scale? Ordinal scale, you will not have scope for calculating mean, right? Because there are different
Yes,
groups,
sir.
discrete groups. So you can
Yes, sir.
calculate mode and median. For ordinal, the analysis, frequency analysis will be mostly mode. How many people in the, let's say, the top question on the income group. So there won't be any mean calculation. I'll find out which are the group, which age group or which income group maximum number of students belong to.
Okay,
Right.
sir.
So mode will be preferable frequency analysis.
Okay, sir.
But here in this last question,
Yes, Somesh, is there a question?
sir, in this last
Sorry, sir.
in
Yes,
this last
Arijit.
question,
Yeah.
In this last question also, sir, you said mean is not always specified, like what to say, regarded for ordinal values. But then in this last question, you said that we can take out the for male and female, we can take out the mean and we can use it as interval also. But you said that average. we
Not
can
for
take
this
out the
question. This question for this question. This is not a male and female question. Male and female will be a different question. So in this question, I'm not asking male and female, right? So I know who is male and who is female and how they have answered. So I create two groups.
Yes, sir, that's what I'm saying. That if we know male and female, we can also get the average of their ordinal values, and then we can find the interval also there, right?
Interval for which question? Interval for this question, right? The
Yes,
like
sir.
rating they have given to, and this is the interval scale. I
Yes,
can
sir,
do
yes,
it. I can take
you
a
can
mean.
do it.
Yeah.
But then you said that for ordinal scale,
This is not.
mean
This is I'm
not
taking
always-
as an interval property, right? The last question I'm taking it
Okay,
as an
sir,
interval
okay.
property.
Okay, sir. Okay.
So theoretically it is a ordinal scale, but I'm taking the interval property because on that scale dependent, I'm saying that 3 means the if somebody is close to 3, that is the mean score, middle score. Is this clear or any doubt? Yes, Reyes.
Okay.
So the question about this yearly income, when you're putting it in a group and forcing them to choose is an ordinal thing. But when you're asking it what's the number, then it's a ratio thing. So the
Yes.
problem here is, let's say we have, if we took 100 data, the 100 data if in ordinal scale will only fall in 3 bars or graphs.
Correct.
If you take.
Correct.
But at the same time, if you do it in ratio, it can come in like 100 people can have 100 incomes also.
Correct.
Will that not be better question to ask in this place?
Yeah, it is not about better, it is about your requirement, right? How you are going to use that information. Some information people will be reluctant to give you. If I right now, if I ask you what is your family income, people will not generally keep those information on a survey, right? So that is something again, age. Sometimes people do not disclose their actual age, right? Because they don't know how that survey will be utilized. So that compromise you have to take. So what you said is correct. If I get that in ratio scale, age, income, that is will give me much more information. I will have 100 data points. Whereas if I asking in ordinal, there will be only 3 groups. But sometimes what happens, you have to take care of whether people really will answer or not, right? Income
And
is
so,
fairly, yeah.
And at the same time, if you're taking ratio scale and eventually we have 100 data points, then also we see some similarities and we again put it to ordinal scale. But this time
So correct. So that is one good thing. When you have in a higher scale, let's say I have in a ratio scale, I can always reduce the scale into lower scales. But from lower scale, I cannot move into higher scales. If I have collected data in ordinal, I cannot convert that into a ratio scale. But if I have ratio scale, I have 100 data points. Now, understanding those 100 income, different people have different incomes. I can put them into groups. Those people who are below 5 to 10, 10 to 15, depending upon my requirement. I can create 5 groups also. Yes. But the problem is, again, you have to think that whether people will answer truthfully or not.
Okay, sir.
But then, sir, you said we can go back to go on to the lower scale levels. But then we can, for salary, we can't go back to nominal scale because there can be
not nominal, right? Ordinal.
Oh yeah, ordinal. I got it.
If I know your salary, if I know your annual income, right, I can put you into a group, and that group will be onto him which group I'm creating, how many groups I'm creating. Yes, Abhijit.
So velocity or temperature in Celsius, these can take negative values, right? So these cannot be ratio scale.
Yes, interval scales. Interval scale. Temperature is interval scale.
But temperature in Kelvin is ratio scale, right?
Temperature normally is a Kelvin because we have absolute 0 point. Yes, that is a ratio scale.
Okay.
Velocity, what you are asking about velocity?
So velocity can be negative, right? If you move in the negative direction.
Velocity is not negative. There is no negative direction. Velocity in a certain direction. If you are going north, you'll say that that person is moving south. right? So
Yes.
that is basically a direction property, right? Speed
Yes.
with direction will give you to velocity, right?
Yes.
Yes. Any more questions? Okay, so that's about your scaling. Quickly, I'll show you 4 or 5 slides on the questionnaire part. Tell me what are the problems. So this is the exercise. Velocity में तो negative direction बताता ना. Yes, so that negative is only for the if I am measuring distance or velocity in north direction. If somebody is going south, I'll show that is a negative. It has nothing to do with the negative numbers, as you know. It is not that they're going below 0, right? It is about the direction property. That negative that shows the whichever direction you are measuring.
बताता है.
Correct. So whichever direction you are measuring, it is going in the opposite direction, right? So that has nothing to do with the negative. Like when I say age is negative, that is a different connotation. Age cannot be negative, but velocity shows the direction of movement. So here I have shown some questions which was from your earlier batches as a part of assignment. The idea is go through it and tell me what are the mistakes. Are you interested? So I had asked for some to create a questionnaire for OTT platform viewing experience, Netflix, Hotstar, Amazon Prime. So what kind of problem you see? Are you interested to pay a little bit more to get better experience? What is the problem in this kind of question?
That sounds like a loaded question because no one wants to pay more. Most
Okay.
will say no.
Okay. What else?
So very vague because it is not telling us which experience it will make better, like it will bring more shows or something like that. Very vague question.
Okay. What else?
Sir, also beat mode doesn't specify any kind of change or any kind of increase the price. So it is not certain.
Correct. So that again itself becomes very vague. When I say pay a little bit more, whether it is 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 200 rupees, it is not mentioned. Different person, the same rupee amount will be different connotation, right? When I say pay a little bit more for Ambani, few crores is little bit more. For us, maybe few rupees is little bit more, right? So whenever you are framing questions, try to avoid this kind of vague questions. If you are putting something and it is very much required, obviously if you ask that whether you will be interested to pay more, everybody will say no. But again, like let's say like companies like Netflix, Amazon Prime, they want to understand what is the flexibility in prices, right? Up to what point people can willing to pay a little bit more, right? You have to mention what is your range. So little bit more, whether it is 20 rupees, 50 rupees, 100 rupees, that amount need to be specified. Without that, this question do not have a meaning. Obviously, you have to explain what does experience mean also, right? Experience for each of us will have a different connotations and different meaning, right? All these 3 questions, apart from grammatical sentence mistakes, have the same problem. It is very vague, pay a little bit more. If I raise the prices little bit more, will you see? All these things are do not actually provide any specific information. So when you are framing, in case these questions are required, obviously first is avoid this kind of questions. Nobody will say that if I go and ask you whether you'll pay more for your cola, more for your fast food, answer will be no. But in case it is required that company is going to increase the prices, they want to understand what is the price sensitivity. Mention that price what they are going to increase, or at least the close to that range, not necessarily the exact price. So that is something again you have to take care of. Out of 10, how much rating will you give it to Hotstar? What is the problem here?
So the scale is not mentioned, like agree, strongly agree, or
Yes. So whenever you are mentioning, don't assume that one everybody understand what does one mean. At least mention the starting of the scale and end of the scale. If you not middle of not all the points, like strongly disagree or worst movie, worst rating, best rating, something you mention in the starting and end, right? Do not assume that customer or the participants understand everything. Starting is one. What does one mean? what does 10 mean will be, you have to mention. What is the other problem in this?
Sir, it will not be
Sir, it
accurate
can also
because
go with the customization, like content. One can be on the content side, rating on the content side, and other can be of the how customized or
Yeah.
experience you get.
Exactly. So try to put as much as dimensions possible, right? So otherwise, it will become very generic. If I just ask that what is, in this case, obviously that also is not mentioned. Overall experience, like in the previous question, some of you told that when you say better experience, experience has different dimensions. Content, number of choices, number of TV shows, number of movies available. How much internet usage happens if I'm watching a show in Netflix, Amazon Prime, or Disney Hotstar for the same movie? How much internet I am losing? How much internet usage is happening, right? Or let's say the pricing part, that can be also one dimension. How much I am to pay monthly to watch their movies or shows? Whether any disruptions are happening. So there are a lot of dimensions for a viewing experience, starting with content, starting with pricing, starting with the internet bandwidth. Try to put different questions so that you get as much as information possible, right? So some of you were asking that whether you lose that part of getting detailed information in quantitative. Not necessarily, but you can put as much as detailed questions as possible. The problem happens if you are beyond 20 questions or 30 questions. People generally tend not to answer, right? So that is where you have to keep a limit that, okay, my questionnaire should not have more than 15 or 20 questions, right? Because people lose interest and stop answering. But yes, so in this particular case, apart from two major difficulties, it is not mentioned what 1 mean, what 10 means. Second is very generic question, right? You have to be very specific
Sir,
on. Yeah.
and also, sir, the rating is here 1 to 10. It is a lot distributed. So the data we get, it will be very distributed and also ambiguous, sir.
Why
Won't be able
ambiguous?
to, sir, ambiguous because scale is not mentioned. So people will be
Yeah.
confused about
So
5,
the
6, or 7, 8.
no, as long as you are mentioning the starting point 1 and 10, people will. So not necessarily what does 5 and 6 means. People know that 5 is the middle point, but sometimes people will get confused with the ranking. 1 means sometimes numero uno or the first point, right? I like
That
something
is what
very.
I'm saying.
So that's why 1 and 10 you have mentioned. What does 1 and 10 mean? 1 is the worst rating, 10 is the best rating. At least that you should mention. What about the second question? How many times you spent watching Netflix in last month?
Sir, 1 will also fall in the first category, 9 will also fall in the first category. So that is, we won't get enough details in less than
Also,
10 hours. 1 hour
also,
will
sir,
also go in, and 9 hour will also go in that category.
Okay, so obviously that is about the ratio and ordinal scale because we lose some of the information. Like other question we asked, income group. If I just ask for your income and I ask you to put into different income, we are losing certain information. That is anyhow there. What other big problems are there?
sir, it has made the intervals by itself only. Suppose there is a person who spends time on Netflix, suppose more than 10 hours, but it is less than 20 hours. Then what that person should feel?
Correct. So if you see the middle two options, that is not a range. Just definite 20 hours is given, right? So don't mix these kind of options. Either you put everything interval or you just ask how many hours you watch Netflix in a day. If you put a mix and match less than 10 hours, then suddenly you are asking 20. Like PLU was mentioning, somebody who is watching 12 hours or 15 hours, what kind of answer he or she is going to give? So ideally, this question should have less than 10 hours, 10 to 20 hours, 20 to 30 hours, more than 30 hours. To answer Abhijit's question, yes, you lose certain information. Those people who are watching 1 hour and 9 hours, I'm treating them as equal, right? That's some information if you are putting, because this is the ordinal scale. Otherwise, I will just ask, please mention in number of hours, average number of hours you watch a movie, right? But there is a very big spelling mistake also. How many times it is asked, right?
Yes,
And
sir.
that is a very big mistake if you are creating a survey. How many minutes or hours you watch, rather than how many times. How many times mean frequency, not hours. On what type of subscription do you watch Netflix? Obviously, spelling mistake and all those things are there. So you can blame your senior. But what other thing is there? What is a big problem? Apart from the spelling, grammatical mistakes. So if you see both the questions,
Sir, some unrelated from online free online platforms are there where we can watch. That option is also not there.
correct. So like see, this question can be framed better way, right? If I am specifying for Netflix, there are many options, many even legally also, right? Netflix are different subscriptions, right? Basic, premium, all those subscriptions I could have asked. But the biggest problem in this kind of question is when something like plain subscription, even if you are using that, you will not put that answer in a survey. Same thing with the second question also. Are you addicted to Netflix? What do you mean by addiction? If somebody watches more than 3 hours, is that addiction, or more than 5 hours is addiction? That is not defined. Even if it is defined, nobody will answer. If addiction is a negative word, if I ask that are you addicted to something, nobody will answer in a truthful. Nobody will give a true answer for that. Same thing when alcohol abuse or smoking habits. If you go and ask about the negative qualities of a person, people will not answer truthfully. So be careful to use, not to use this kind of words. When I addiction, all those things, people will not answer truthfully. Last slide. Two more questions to go. Quickly, what is the problem with the top question? Anyone? Problem with the top question. How many hours, minutes do you spend on an app, that OTT application, on a daily basis? If you watch it monthly or weekly, please mention how long do you watch it one go.
Sir, in the question it's mentioned that we need to say either monthly or weekly, so it will create a sort of confusion among the people.
Correct.
Some will answer as per monthly and some will answer as per weekly. So
Correct.
there will be a difference.
Since the answers are open-ended,
One means at a stretch, right? So that does not form a question, I guess. At one go is at one stretch. I can watch for 2 hours at one stretch, and
Correct.
after taking 2 hours of break again I can watch for 2 hours. So it is total of 4 hours in a day.
Correct. One of the biggest problem is whenever you are asking a question, like she was mentioning, remember how much time you will put on data cleaning and data processing. Try to minimize that time. Otherwise, in this case, what will happen? Let's say that assumption is almost wrong. In a stretch, when you are asking monthly, it cannot be in a stretch, or weekly, it cannot be in a stretch. Daily, yes. 2 hours, 3 hours in a stretch, then you give a gap. So when I'm giving a option of weekly and monthly and asking how much time you spend on a stretch, it doesn't have a meaning. Second point is, let's say if you ignore that also, some people say weekly on an average I watch 15 hours. Some say 60 hours in a month or 50 hours in a month. So when I'm making the analysis, everybody has to be in a uniform scale. I have to convert that into a daily. So I have to then make some calculations and additionally put one column. How much, if somebody has said 50 hours in a month, on an average, what will be how much in a daily, right? Otherwise, I cannot compare, right? So the main point of quantitative analysis is that make some association, make some comparison. If everybody answers in different unit of measurement, I'm not able to, and I have to convert that. I have to again put some time on data processing, data cleaning, which is not required here, right? So do not make sure that you are using same unit of measurement. Either you ask monthly, nobody will remember. Weekly, obviously the basic difficulty or problem with the question is when I'm asking stretch, it has to be on a daily basis. On an daily basis, average daily basis, on a stretch, how much time you spend on Netflix? Yes, sorry.
First question, sir. Data parsing will also be difficult because we are making it completely open-ended. So data parsing and data grouping, when you're grouping the data or parsing the data,
basically you have to clean the data and then put into groups, right? It will take a lot of time, so which is not required, right? So last question quickly. few seconds take few seconds and answer what is the problem in last question. That
We don't have
first
the space.
Again, that one is
1 5 that
So
is
we can select-
already discussed. 1 and 5, those options, what does 1 5 means is not there. That is the big
Sir,
problem. What else?
these are square
Other can be
checkboxes,
anything,
so we
sir.
can select more than one.
Yes, so that is not square, that is checkboxes. Yeah, but yes, your point is valid. Whenever, so and that is a very technical problem in Google Form. When you are selecting Google Form for your survey questions, make sure that for these kind of questions, multiple choice option is there, not checkboxes. Checkboxes, people can choose multiple options. If somebody selects 1 2 3, all three of them, I'll not get any insights out of that, right? So this proper question should have been a multiple choice. That means I'm forcing to choose only one option, and that is also a technical problem when other option is coming. So when you create questions in Google Form, automatically next row will form with the other option. Remove that. So this is actually I was asking the person who created the question. Obviously he agreed that 1 and 5 he has not mentioned, but checkbox he actually selected multiple choice and somehow by mistake checkbox was selected, and other options he forgot to remove that. So why I'm telling you that when actually you form questions, you will face these kind of difficulties. So try to like remember what we discussed today. Questionnaire structure, how many questions would be there, which question will come after which other question. For those options, right? Abhijit was asking 0 to 10 hours, we'll lose a lot of information. Those people who are watching 1 hour a day, 9 hour a day, we are putting into same bracket. Ideally do a secondary research. Search and Google that on an average, how much time people spend on OTT platforms in India. Let's say average is coming 5 hours. So you know that you have to have an option below 5 hours, above 5 hours, right? And something close to 5 hours, right? So that will give you a better idea. So whatever options you put in your question has to come from secondary research, not haphazardly. Okay, I think let's put 0 to 10 hours or 10 to 20. Screening question, not necessarily all of them are spending, or somebody can just put download from Telegram and watch that. Now, like some of you told, not necessarily who are taking subscription of Netflix or Hotstar and all those things. You might be watching the programs, right? But not you have taken subscription. So put a screening question. How many of them have taken actual subscription of